right, we're getting back on it. We got some things done, and we got some parts back in finally. I moved forward a little bit, did a few of the extra brake lines that I didn't show. I just didn't show it on here, but I cranked them out real quick. Just bended them right up, you know, and get them on there. So here's where we're at. We got the rear end. We got both brake lines are done on it. We've also got the union here in the middle with the brake line coming off of it for our rubber line. So it's almost ready to go. We do need to, we're going to eliminate some springs here. This is my spacer I got from Jay, and we're going to eliminate that many springs so we can get a little bit lower ride. But this will take up the space in the spring pocket so that the U-bolts will still bolt up and clamp that spring. So we're going to swap that out just like that. We're going to take out about 4 or 5 of these leaves. Should be fine. Still going to be the same distance off of the cross member to the bottom down there, so should be good to go. We'll find out, I guess. Brake lines are done there. Here's the master cylinder bracket. Jay had a template for that they had made before out there on a lot of different cars. So part swapper ended up cutting that out for me, mounted up the fruit jar there, and I just got the line made up for that with the brake light switch and the T. So this one will go to the front line that I'll have to make once I get it mounted back in there, and then that will mount to the torque tube that you saw there. The other thing we got to do is we got a special package from the early V8 garage. These guys hooked us up with e-brake stuff. So since we're using this bracket, this utilizes the brake actuator or the equalizer, whatever you want to call it. It's got several names. So originally the brake pedal pushed here, and all these moved all the mechanical brakes on each wheel. So you have 4 wheels, 4 brakes. This was the e-brake connection. So your e-brake actually just set all the mechanical brakes. So you had 4 locking brakes on the e-brake. We're eliminating this one. We're going to utilize this one. It's going to be about in that spacing right there. So we're going to utilize this one coming off the brake, and it's going to push our plunger for our master cylinder. So we're going to cut this one off and eliminate that and utilize this new brake kit from the early V8 garage, which is great. This was the e-brake connection. So your e-brake actually just set all the mechanical brakes. So you had 4 locking brakes on the e-brake. We're eliminating this one. We're going to utilize this one. It's going to be about in that spacing right there. So we're going to utilize this one coming off the brake, and it's going to push our plunger for our master cylinder. So we're going to cut this one off and eliminate that and utilize this new brake kit from the early V8 garage, which is great. It's going to consist of this tube here. That's our new cable is going to come off of our e-brake and go right through that and line up with the torque tube, and it'll run down to our new cables that we're going to put in the axle there. And then there's a couple other little adjustments and another little bracket there that's going to mount that within the X member. So let's get going. All right, let's get the spring pulled apart. Now these are super sketchy. If you guys don't know, a 32 spring is arched this way like normal, but it's also arched this way. 32 to 34, that spring is like that. I don't know why. But we're going to clamp this sucker off and start backing it out. We're going to have to eliminate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the springs. One will still be left there. We have these clamps on the main part of the spring that will stay. So we just got to back them off until we can get it handled. I'm probably going to go ahead and clamp this one spring on with these smaller clamps I have, because I don't need to eliminate that. So the best way to do it, I guess, is just going to be right here like this. I guess. We'll see when we start loosening it up. It'll let us know. So I'm going to leave that bolt in there, and I'm just going to start loosening these up a little bit at a time, just to see what's going on here with it. It could go. This one's actually really tough right now, so it could go really crazy. And it's already getting too close to the edge for me. That right there could slip off. Get a hammer and knock it back over. When these leaves start coming apart, it's weird because they want to go like that. That's why it was pushing that off there. This one's even getting pushed off. You can see it sticking out there. I'm just going to go a little bit at a time there. Now that pressure's on that one, let me get that back in there. See how it flipped up? Okay. That ain't going to work. We're going to have to clamp that back down because now it's relying on that bolt. And that's going to be hard to do now that it's off there. Oh yeah. I sure as heck don't want any missing teeth, that's for sure. Whoop. Yeah, we're at the end of that. Okay, so that's not going to work. Take that off. Let's see if we get it. Okay, this is the hard part. Now I gotta figure out. I guess I can just walk it off. Oh, there it went. Man, that's crazy. Now, put that back in there. That lined up a little bit there. Now, I don't know, this might be too low. But we're going to find out. Because I really want it pretty low. There we go. Okay, that's good to go there. We're going to hang on to these though. We might need them. We'll have to cut them short, put them back on there. I don't know. Or may have to eliminate every other one. I have no idea. But we're going to see how this goes for right now. I think we are ready to stab it back into the transmission now. So we've got the lines made. The only thing we need to do is we need to pull the drums and hook in the ebrake cables from the early V8 garage. I think we can get her going. Let's start putting her in there. We'll get her pushed in there as far as we can. And then we'll have to jack it up. I don't like being under this thing. The jack stands are way up there, almost to the B pillars, so the back's just kind of sitting there floating. But I had to be able to do that in order to get the rear end out with torque tube and all that on there, so just a little freaky, that's all. Alright, let's go inside. Alright, let's get this cup on here. That. Now that cup, you're going to use the two gaskets on there. One gasket goes on the transmission side, one goes on the torque tube side, and they both need to be shellacked on there. Don't use RTV, just use shellac. Pull it right back off. It'll help. It'll make a nice, cleaner connection there. I'm going to have to grease this torque tube cup up after I get it all assembled, so you guys don't let me forget that. You guys tend to let me forget stuff, and so let's see if we get this pulled. This is kind of a tricky ordeal because you have to turn that U-joint and get it up on that drive shaft at the same time, and I can't see it. In its awkward position, so that doesn't help, man. Well, we're pretty close right there. Let's see if we can get that shine down in there. There we go. I actually might have it in there. May have gotten it started without realizing it. Let's see. Maybe not. Okay. Ow. Got my head with that one. Really would be helpful if we had two people. There it is. I think. Let's see if we got it. Oh, there it is. The U-joint cup doesn't come off of there, so you have a hard time, which I could have taken the speedometer off and slid it back down, but it's just harder to get it in there and get it connected. Here's the stuff that the new seal is made out of. It's hollow in the middle. It's kind of thick. It's about 1/8 inch thick wall, but it fits back in there, and you just trim it to fit connection just like that, and it's got a little rubber piece that goes inside that holds both of them together when you get them touching, for lack of better terms. That is a better seal. That cork cannot, you just can't hardly get that cork in there. I've tried it and it just sucks. Found that works really good. I put the seam at the very top and it just falls right back into that slot, and you can barely see it right in there, but it will seal way better on that torque tube, and it'll allow it to move. Now, before you get that torque tube tightened up, you'll want to grease that seal real good. That way it'll slide around on that torque tube. Alright, here's my master cylinder piece. Get it, drop it down in here. Get it bolted back up. And I can see that this little short line that I made is going to be in the way of the ebrake. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it out of there. I'll just make a new one, cut that one up. Everything else looks like it's going to work pretty good. I just need to remake that little line right there, and I don't know why I made it so intricate. It's pretty much a straight shot. You can see all I had to do is come out and go whoop, right there instead of around all that stuff. But once you get that stuff in your head, you just kind of move forward and you don't even think about any other kind of solution. So that's what I ended up doing there. Got caught up in the moment. Alright, we'll grab the tube. We've got to connect. The tube is going to mount to this cross member here that we're putting in for the master cylinder, and then it's going to run up here, and that's going to guide your cable. Now you're going to have a cable off of the e-brake handle that's going to run through and dog leg to the center and then pull the brakes in the back from the center. Okay, so here's the tube and here's the cable. So this tube's going to sit right here, go right up into the original location of the e-brake rod there. This is going to replace the e-brake rod. So pull that tape off there. Get that cable out. Cool little piece there. Show you guys. This little piece right here is going to mount onto the e-brake handle. Not the handle actually, but the tab down at the very bottom. And then your cable is going to run into it like that, and that's what's going to pull that cable. Alright, pop that back out. Here's my brake actuator. These are the other little pieces I need for the torque tubes. These are the guides for the e-brake cable. Now we've got to drill a couple holes in that so that we can mount this tube to it. And we've got to cut the e-brake handle, whatever you call it. We've got to cut that arm off so that this tube won't get in the way and get hit by it when the brakes get used. So since we're using this bracket that Part Swapper made for me, we're not doing exactly like Early Ford Garage shows in their instructions, so we're having to make it work for us basically, because the only thing I bought from them was the e-brake. They actually make a full setup for 32s, 33, 34s, 35, 36s. They make this bracket with the e-brake tube so that you can add juice brakes right to a frame with minimal amount of work. I mean, they make the whole kit, which is pretty rad. I just contacted Dennis Lacy and got the e-brake part because that was the part that I wanted. I wanted to be able to utilize the e-brake on the rear end. So that's why I'm having to do a couple extra steps here. His kit does not utilize the brake actuator like this one does. So we're having to modify this, drill holes in this, and utilize his parts, which his parts they're spot on. If you guys are wanting to convert your early Ford to juice brakes, you can find the early V8 Garage on Instagram under Dennis Lacy V8 Garage. I'll drop a link here so that you can screenshot it or whatever you need to do. But he's got kits for 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, and 38. So 32 to 38, he can do the complete kit, and it's completely a bolt-in kit. What we'll end up doing is we're going to end up cutting this e-brake arm off, and then we need to heat and bend this lower. This is actually a lower one. Let's see. Yeah. So it actually goes like that. The spring has got tension on it. So that's what keeps your pedal in the up position instead of letting it slack, is that spring right there. So we're going to have to straighten this. We're going to heat that one up real quick, straighten it up, get it lined up, because it's going to go right into that master cylinder. It's going to come off of that. My rod is going to connect there and push right in the back of that master cylinder. That's your e-brake connection there. So we're going to just lop that sucker off and clean it up, drop a little paint on it. There you go. Lopped her off, slicked her up. We'll clamp it right there, and we'll heat that, and we'll just twist it up. This should be pretty simple. It won't take very long for that to heat up. I'm going to move it around a little bit so it doesn't shoot one spot and bubble it up. You can see it now. See how that one's cocked? Skewed to the side a little bit. Now we've got a nice straight one. Now we can utilize that so that when that pedal, it's going to be mounted like that to the cross member. When that pedal pushes this, you actually push it and it pulls it actually, and then that's going to push that one straight back. Perfect. Let that rest for a second. We'll get the little bracket here. So that's the bracket for the tube. So the bracket goes on the top right bolt hole for the actuator, and the tube is going to go, and that's just going to hold it from flexing any. Okay. That's in there. Here's the cable. So you've got a little ball on the end. That's going to be your stop to fit inside that bracket. This is going to go on the bottom of the ebrake handle, and that's going to be your puller. And then that little boot right there is going to go right over the tube, keep any trash out of there, and that'll connect to your cable that'll connect to both of your backing plates. So now we can run that up in there. There we go. Well, that went in pretty easy. Okay, e-brake's in. Let's check it. Yep. It works. So now that we've got the bracket in there good, we can go ahead and tighten up that top bolt on the actuator. Knock that out real quick. Now we need to install our e-brake parts. There's the tube. So we'll get that going. Here's the parts that came off of those drums that were on the panel truck, actually. These are the two pieces that you're going to need. You can see this is the long one the cable hook connects to right there on the end. And then this one receives the little notch on the back there, so it goes together basically like that. So when it pulls that, it pushes this one out and pushes this one out at the same time. Beep, 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 beep. Okay, now hear me out. I found this little belt sander belt I got from a pneumatic tool. I kept trying to think of something that could go up in there and clean that out. That'll work. I'll take that. I just ground a little bitty bit off. Look at that. Just a tiny bit, so. Heck to the yeah. We're back in business, folks. Don't have to do a part 2 or to be continued. Okay. Now, sorry about that. Didn't mean to smack the camera. Now what I need to do is, that was gonna go there. Run that one over there. Run that back onto that side. Oh, sorry, y'all are just too close here. Now I'll have to pull this spring off so I can get that pin on in there. Here we go. Get a little bit of grease here. We want that thing to be nice and smooth and not get frozen up in there. We don't want it to bind up. So I'll put a little bit on that. Now we need to smash that with pliers. There we go. Now it's on there. And that's where the cable's going to come in and hook onto that ball. Hook to that one. And this one's going to go just like that. So let's grease that one out. Alrighty. I went ahead and dropped in a new seal in there while I had it out. The early seals, 28 to 37 or 38, are the same size. And then I think 38 they had mid-year, so they had dual sizes in 38. But 38 to 48 is the same size too, which is a little different. So we'll clock that keyway around there. Wipe that down. There we go. This one I checked and it was clear. Good deal on that. Alright, I see that one is adjusted way up, so turn that one. Here's our ebrake cable. And it's going to connect to this, which came off of our handle there. So it looks like we're going to take that nut off there. Let's get down here, y'all. Alright, so this cable has to go right inside that piece. And that piece is going to have to get, let me see here. This is going to be a little bit of pain, but I think we can get it. Put the brake all the way forward. Now we can get that tightened up on there. Oh yeah. Awesome. Now that is perfect. You guys, look at that. Oh, get you up here. See that? And it goes all the way back up there. It's going to work perfectly. That's going to be just right. Alright, let's get back out of here. Well, there you go, guys. If you want to get in contact with Early V8 Garage, you can contact Dennis Lacy directly on Instagram. He shows them there. He shows all the years he has, and he shows the kits the way they are put together and what you get in a kit, and the prices are also there. Their website doesn't have a whole lot of information, probably has a phone number, but I'll go ahead and include it down below. So Dennis Lacy, Early V8 Garage. There you go. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Dennis.